Kristen, Joey, and Kincaid have all been released from Western Hills Asylum and are now living a normal life, attending high school. Kristen has managed to make some new friends. Alice, a young bright girl who's a frequent daydreamer. Sheila, a brainy quiet girl with asthma. And Debbie, a tall tough girl who works out and hates bugs. She also has found herself a boyfriend, Rick, a martial arts enthusiast who's also Alice's brother. These are genuinely the only character traits that they give these characters. Kristen begins to have bad dreams and feels as though Freddy has once again come back from the dead. During one of her nightmares, she pulls Kincaid and Joey into her dream as he explores the deserted Elm Street house. In the next school day, Kincaid and Joey confront Kristen about pulling them into her dream without their consent. Kincaid wakes up one night and finds himself locked in the trunk of an old junked car. When he opens the hood, he realizes that he's in the same salvage yards that Freddy's body was buried in. Kincaid spies his dog, Jason, wink, digging and urinating fire in the ground nearby. Freddy then resurrects from the ground, after which a pile of junk downs crash upon him. Freddy quickly recoups and kills Kincaid. Later that night, Joey is also killed by Freddy by dragging him into his waterbed and drowning him. It's actually a really cool kill, and it's a great kill in a pretty naff film. The following day at school, Kristen is concerned when her friends fail to show up for class. She confides to Alice about nightmares. Kristen hits her head and passes out when she discovers that both of her friends are missing, being attacked by Freddy but revived in time. After she learns of the deaths of Kincaid and Joey, Kristen goes to the actual Elm Street house with Rick, Dan, and Alice. Rick tells Dan the story of Freddy, and Alice reveals a part about the Dream Master spell. Alice suggests to Kristen that she is in control of her own dreams. However, Alice also looks down to the ground to see something, a chalk drawing of the house that only Kristen has been able to see. Clearly, she senses something. At home that night, her mother gives her a sedative to help her sleep. When Kristen falls asleep this time, on Alice's advice, she tries to convert her nightmares into pleasant dreams, but to no avail. While she meets a child named Alice in her dream, creating a sandcastle, even in her good dreams, Freddy appears and ruins everything. Kristen eventually finds herself in Freddy's boiler room. It is explained that Kristen is the last child from Elm Street, and Freddy needs her help to get more children. When Freddy is about to kill her, she screams for Alice. Alice appears suddenly in the boiler room, just as Krueger kills Kristen by throwing her into the fire. Before Kristen dies, she sends her power, the power to pull people into her dreams, to Alice. Before the power can reach her, it passes through Freddy first. Yeah, we're absolutely doing this, and I'm not on board with it, but we gotta rock with it, whatever happens. And that is the last of the Dream Warriors as well, which makes me sad. Alice awakens immediately, realizing that Kristen's in danger. She turns out to be right. Kristen's room is on fire. As Alice tries to understand what has happened and who exactly Freddy is, her friends begin to die. First, Sheila is killed by Freddy deflating her in a dream, which leads to her suffocating. It's a brutal kill, and I'm actually all for it. Then Rick is killed by karate floating glove. This scene was shot after the film had finished, and there was already a burial scene for Rick, and they had no money for this. It was just a floating glove attacked him whilst he was doing karate with bedsheets in the background. Let's just pretend it didn't happen and move on. Yet after every death, including Kristen's, Alice picks up new talents and abilities. She also picks up the dream powers of the children who have died. She is obviously Freddy's supernatural opposite, albeit too weak to truly conquer or even resist him yet. After his death, Alice teams up with Dan Jordan, who was one of Rick's closest friends. Together with Dan, Alice tries to get Debbie, their last surviving friend, before Freddy finds her. Unbeknownst to the two teams, Freddy is able to control their movements, trapping Alice and Dan into a time loop, which is honestly the best part of this bad film. Freddy is able to reach Debbie and kill her, firstly by breaking her arms at the elbow whilst lifting weights, because in her character synopsis she likes to exercise and hates bugs. Then, by transforming into a cockroach, oh my god, not only did he ruin her gains, he also turned into a bug, which he hates. And then, trapping her inside a roach motel and crushing her before Alice and Dan could intervene. Following a car accident where Dan is injured and rushed to the hospital, Alice returns home to prepare for one final battle with Freddy. Alice goes to sleep to help Dan before Freddy can kill him. As Alice and Dan search for Freddy, Dan is injured. Alice wills him awake right at the moment the doctors wake Dan and he is pulled from Dreamworld. Alice, facing Freddy alone, attempts to use all of her newly absorbed abilities against him. The fight is relatively equal, except that she has a mortal body and he has not, giving him the advantage of immortality. It's an advantage that proves nearly too great to overcome. He declares that he's been guarding his gate for too long to be taken down by her. But just as he's preparing to kill her, she recalls the final verse of the Dream Master spell. For the first and only time, someone defeats Freddy by using the power of the spell to make him see the evil that's inside of him. Yeah, this is happening. Using her powers as Guardian of the Gate of Good Dreams, which Kristen never was, nor was Nancy, apparently. Alice releases the tortured souls from Freddy's prison into the Gate of Good Dreams, where he can no longer harm them. Krueger's clothes fall lifelessly to the floor. The film ends with Dan and Alice at a fountain sometimes later. She tosses a coin to a witcher and makes a wish. As she and Dan depart, she decides to keep the wish for herself as Freddy's image appears and ripples left in the fountain from the tossed coin.